Hello friends, today we have a most talked about topic, something which is very fascinating. Everyone wants to know about this. So today we are going to talk about living in present. So this is a book which I recently read. This book named The Present from Spencer Johnson. I'll tell you a summary of this book, why it is important to live in present, how we can live in present, and what is really mean by living in present. So these are some of the questions that I try to answer from my learnings in the book. But before that, let me tell you a short story. There were two monks. They were going through a dense forest, and as they were walking, they came across a river. And at the river, they saw a very beautiful girl trying to cross the river. But the river has a very high current, and the girl was trying to cross the river. So the two monks looked at each other, trying to figure out what to do now. And this young lady asked one of the older monks, "Would you help me cross this river?" So the older monk, without any hesitation, picked up the younger lady in his arm and crossed the river. So as they were going ahead in their journey, the younger monk still possessed. The younger monk was still wondering, we had taken a vows not to touch a woman. How can this monk touch a woman and help her cross the river? He was hesitant whether to ask this to monk or not to ask. And after a couple of hours, finally he decided that I'm going to ask this monk how he did it. So he asked, we had taken vows not to touch women. How can you touch a woman and help her cross the river? Older monk quietly replied, my friend, I have left that girl 2 hours back on the other side of river. It is you who is still carrying her with you. My friend, isn't it true that something happens some hours back, something happens in the morning, something happens a day before, and if we keep dwelling about it? I'll tell you another story. Have you seen a movie called MS Dhoni? I'm sure if you are Indian, you must have seen it. In MS Dhoni movie, some of his friends come in the court, and as they see MSD is playing badminton, they still comes in a court and tells him a good news. The good news that he has got selected in the India A team, which is going to tour to Kenya. Now, if there was anyone else at his place, he would have jumped with a joy. But have you seen what he did there? He continued with his badminton game. He continued and he won the game. And later, he hugged those guys. This is what, my friend, living in present really means. Doing the single most important thing in that particular moment. And that's what MSD showed there. So these are two stories I wanted to share you. But why is it that everyone wants to be in the present? Isn't it true that we are always living in present? Do we live at someplace else? Do we live in past? Or do we live in future? It's not true, right? We are always living in the present. But the thing is, for some reason or other, we keep dwelling in the past or a future. Something happens yesterday, something happened day before yesterday, something happened this morning, and if we keep dwelling on that thing. Or if we keep dwelling on what we're going to do tomorrow, what we're going to do next week, how we're going to approach certain situation in the future. And that is what takes away the most precious moments of our life, the present. That's why it's so important to live in the present. Another thing I noticed, you would never see Sachin saying that I had scored century when I was 19 and I will live my entire life based on that. You'll never see Rahane saying that I scored century in Lords, now I'm going to live my entire life based on that. You know why? Because excellence never ever lives in past. Another thing I noticed was, if you would to live in the past or if you keep dwelling about the future, you would never really experience the exuberance of the present moment. And eventually it will impact your productivity as well. So these are some of the reasons it is very important that we start practicing living in present moment. Now, what is really mean by living in present? This is something very important. From the author's point of view, living in present means doing the single most important thing in the particular moment. As simple as that. I asked some of my friends what is mean by living in present. He said, he was a bit mathematical guy. He said living in present means not living in past and not living in future. As simple as that. But if you were to ask me what is really mean by living in present, it means to me not living in last minute or not thinking about the next minute. Living in this particular minute, enjoying this particular minute, enjoying this particular moment, and focusing on this particular moment. That's what to me living in present really means. Now, how we can start practice living in present? Because I've seen many people keep dwelling in the past, keep dwelling about the future, keep thinking about the future, and eventually, as I've said, they miss the exuberance of the particular moment. So, how we can start living in the present? My friend, it is living in present or practicing living in present is like being fit or being rich. You won't become fit or rich overnight, right? It won't happen overnight. Similarly, if you would to start living in present, you have to keep practicing it. You have to keep practicing on daily basis, and eventually you will cultivate a habit of living in present. Another thing I would suggest is mastering your minute. Many people try to master their life. Many people have a long-term goals, but they really miss the minute. They really miss the minute thing. If you master your minute, I'm sure you would start focusing on the minute. Then another thing is you can start appreciating the small things that are happening. So even though I'm recording this video, I can see a girl outside my door saying something. And she's a very cute girl, a small girl. So you should start appreciating the small things that are happening in your life. Another thing is you can keep asking yourself, what is the purpose of me in this moment? What is my purpose in this particular moment? What is my purpose in this particular hour? What is my purpose in this particular day? And your purpose will answer your questions. Your purpose will tell you what is it the most important thing that you should do in this particular moment. So these are a few things that you can practice, and eventually you will lead to a mindfulness. You'll start living in present. But again, this would happen over a period of time. You have to keep practicing it. You have to acknowledge and appreciate good or bad things that are happening in your life in every single minute. And that's how you will start being mindful about the things in the present moment. This is something that will eventually happen with the practice only. Now let's talk about benefits. Of course, it simplifies the life. If you're not thinking about what happened last minute, if you're not thinking about what someone told you last hour, you're very focused on this minute. You're very focused on what is happening right now. So it simplifies the life. And another thing, as I mentioned, you'll start experiencing the exuberance of every moment. So if you are in a party, you won't feel lost because you are totally in the party. Most often, if you're thinking about past or future, if you're dwelling on this thing, you wouldn't experience the exuberance of that moment. So these are some of the benefits that you would experience. Another thing is, to me, the present is the best gift that you can give to yourself. That's it. Thank you.